Okay, guys. Well, this channel is about traveling and camping, but since we are all stuck at home, I'll just tell you stories, okay? I'll tell you stories from my childhood. So, when I was a little kid, every morning for breakfast, I lived in Colorado and it was cold, and my mother would feed me a bowl of cereal, two pieces of bacon, but they were cut in half. It was like one long piece of bacon that was cut in half because we had a small family, so she had a small pan. She didn't have a big giant pan, so she could cook a whole strip of bacon. She always cut it in half. So half a piece of bacon to us was a piece of bacon. So we would have a bowl of cereal, two pieces of bacon, which is one long strip, and a slice of cantaloupe. And where she got cantaloupe in Colorado in the middle of the winter, I have no idea. But my mama was magic, and it was a good breakfast. Kept us going in the cold. Kiki is very suspicious of my wheelbarrow up here. She sees my gloves. She thinks it's scary. And she's running back. She's like, whoa. What is that? Huh? Is that scary looking? Let's go look at it. Okay. This is the coolest wheelbarrow. You've probably seen it in my videos before, but look at this thing. Oh, makes her scared. It's okay. Yeah, it falls over. She's running back away from it. Come on, you can look at it. I'll hold it. It's really nice and handy, but it has a habit of falling over if it's not perfectly balanced. See, Kiki, it's okay. It tips over sometimes. Yeah, what do you think of that? Pretty cool? So I'm cleaning up here. I'm trying to pull out all of these little purple flowers because these are the stork bills. Let's see here. So I have one. Yeah, I have one. See, they look like a little stork bill, but they have a little curly seed, and it's very sharp. And it can easily get into the dog's feet. In fact, Buddy had one for almost a year in his foot. And we tried to figure out everything. He would limp all the time. And finally, we found one of those stork bills stuck in his paw. He never limped after that. So I want to show you these clippers that I have here. These clippers, grass clippers, were my dad's. And I remember when I was a little kid, I remember him sharpening these. And I remember him telling me that these used to belong to my grandfather. My grandfather was a gardener type person from Wisconsin. And he always grew a huge garden in Wisconsin. They would can it all. That was the family my dad grew up in. And then when we were kids in Colorado, my dad always had a garden. And boy, we loved going out there and pulling the vegetables, picking the vegetables and eating them. He would let us help plant, water, weed. So that's where I guess I got my love for digging in the dirt. I gotta show you this though. See this flower here? That is from the ice plant, I think they call it. And when I first moved to California 40 years ago, that plant was on the hillsides of every underpass in Southern California. And they'd water that stuff like crazy. But it was pretty. It held the hillsides. You know, when you drive along the highways and where it goes up to the bridges and the ramps off of the freeways, all of that was ice plant. And this other thing I want to show you here. These are clippings off of my tree over here. I'm not sure what it's called. I'll show you. This one here. I take pictures of this tree a lot. In fact, it's in the background of a lot of my videos because it's such a beautiful color. And I love how it contrasts against the blue sky. Isn't that neat? But I am not sure if this is a juniper. I always thought these little ones were junipers. but I'm not sure. These little ones, these darker colored ones down here, yeah, those. These are the ones that get the little berries. But now this big thing here, excuse me, it gets these really interesting little, kind of like berries, but they're not round. They're kind of a star-shaped or different shape. Anyway, I had trimmed around the edges of those junipers over there, and I threw clippings right here on top of my mulch. And you know, it gives us the most glorious smell. Every time I walk by here, I think, what is that smell? I would love to have that as a perfume. It's just, I don't know, it's just a nice, beautiful smell. I also have a piece of the tree tobacco here. It fell off. I didn't trim it, but it fell off. And it doesn't seem to have any smell. But you know, we had one day where it was over 85 degrees, and this stuff just dried out like crazy, which is great. That's exactly what I wanted to do here for my mulch. I don't know why I'm getting such a good picture here inside the shed. The light must be just right. Anyway, I'm gonna hang up my work gloves, and I'm gonna put away my digging tool, because one thing I have learned here in Southern California, when it gets too hot, you don't want to be out there digging around. I'm not going to mulch any of this stork bill. I think it's called filiferi. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But I'm going to throw that all in the trash because I don't want any of those little curly seeds. I'm trying to get as much of that out of the yard as I can. Kiki, did you have fun helping me pull weeds? You were a good girl. Yeah. So I got out my Reflectix window coverings, and I covered that whole side over there. So, because I know it's going to be hot today. Well, hello, Buddy and Precious. Hey, Happy. Precious is happy, and Buddy's snoozing. He's the man. He's snoozing. Okay, I'll tell you a funny story. When my daughter was a little girl, of course, she had a Barbie doll, and she had a Ken. Excuse me. And they had a little Barbie house. And the Ken doll was always laying on the bed. And Barbie was busy doing things and working around the house and going places. And one day we asked my daughter, how come Ken is always laying on the bed? And she said, well, that's what daddies do. They come home and they lay on the bed. Look how pretty that blue agave looks. Just some interesting visual art here. Are you catching flies, buddy? Are you like Ken, laying on the bed? So the blue agave, I went all over it yesterday, and I trimmed off almost all the spikes, except the ones at the very top that I couldn't reach very well. So I went for a walk this morning around my neighborhood. There's a golf course nearby. I was walking down the path at the golf course, and one of the security guards came by in his golf cart, and I thought for sure he was going to tell me, get off the golf course, go back to your house, or I'm going to put you in jail. But luckily he didn't say that. He just said, good morning. I'm so glad. Well, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoy my stories from the past. If you have any stories you want to tell me, just put them in the comments. I love to hear stories, especially now that everybody's staying home. We have time to think about the stories of our lives, huh? Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time. Remember that 2020 is the year of victory, no matter what it looks like, because Jesus knows the beginning and the end. Bible says that Jesus is the beginning and the end, the first and the last, the Alpha and the Omega. So he knows all about this. He knew all about this long before we were even born. He knew that we'd be able to handle it because he's given us a way. Our faith in Jesus. So I'll see you next time. Be sure and subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell. Adios. Mwah.